Hello, good evening. First of all, thank you so much for agreeing to join our interview today. My name is Nur Adriana Alia. You can simply call me Adri, and next to me is my partner.
My name is Abida Doya, and you can call me Ruby.
So, for information, we are currently working on an assignment on cultural aspects and communication styles with a focus on Chinese culture. So, basically, this interview is part of our research for our college project on multicultural identity and intercultural communication. So, we are hoping to learn from your experiences and insight to understand your culture similarities and differences better. So this interview will take around 15 minutes and we have 5 main questions followed by 5 follow-up questions. So a total of 10 questions. So feel free to share anything you feel is relevant. And before we start, will it be okay if we record this conversation for note-taking and research purposes, if you don't mind?
Yes. Hi, I'm Han Chen. You can call me Han.
Alright.
So yes, I don't mind you guys taking record or anything. So right now on my site it's
Okay.
right now I'm in Africa currently. So if you ask me about work culture and stuff, sure, I don't mind because I have worked in like different countries, like let's say Europe, Latin, Malaysia, China. Yeah, so
Okay.
I think that should be fine if you want to proceed on the questions.
I
Alright.
see.
To start with, could you briefly tell us more about yourself, your name, your age?
Okay, so hi, I'm Yong Han Chen. You guys can call me Han Chen, or in short, just Han.
Okay.
So I'm currently 24 years old, and on my background, I used to study computer science in data analysis, and now I'm currently working in the radio wave engineer field.
I see. Thank you so much. So, without
Yeah.
wasting any time, let's begin with the first question. So, the first question
Yes.
is, as a Chinese, have you ever faced any misunderstandings because of language or choice of words when talking to someone from a different culture?
All right. So in my opinion, if let's say, depending on which background you're talking to, if let's say my background, I don't really have like a hard Chinese background. But if let's say you're coming from like a Chinese school, Chinese background, it's a bit hard and different. Like let's say, if you want to talk to like, let's say a guy like me, example, I talk to like sometimes for me it's like, oh, I talk to other race, it's fine. But let's say a guy from maybe he grew up in like background of Chinese background, when he talks to like other people, sometimes they might not find it comfortable. Or let's say, like a sudden switch, like let's say they are talking to a Muslim guy, and his main language is Chinese. He's gonna find it hard for him to communicate sometimes. That is like one of the biggest concern.
Okay. Now, okay. The second question is, how do you usually show politeness in English compared to how it's done in Chinese?
So politeness in English, I would say, it's not how you express the words. Sometimes in English you can express the words like more easily because number one, English is very universal. A lot of people understand English.
Okay.
Secondly, if you can speak English, like it's sometimes, just my opinion, people will find it more like respectful for some other races of people. Like I work in, let's say, Latin. Most people can't speak English, but when I start speaking English, everyone's like, "Oh, you can speak English." So they will be like start like having a different perspective on you.
I see. Okay. Thank you so
Yes.
much. So the next question is, what is your view on eye contact? Because in some cultures it shows confidence, but in others it can be seen as rude. So what is your comment in your culture, in Chinese culture?
So for Chinese culture, yes, eye contact is important, but let's say you're doing, I think practically in most Asia country, yes, eye contact is very important when you're speaking. You need to look at people in the eye. Because if you don't look people in the eye, and let's say I'm talking to you now, I'm not looking, I'm looking at like the wall, and you're in front of me. I don't feel that it's like very respectable, even if like I'm not even like your superior or your boss or anything. So, but that is different. But depending on different culture, but let's say when I was in, I think now Africa, when they are talking, they don't look to in the eye.
Oh.
Some people will not look in the eye,
That's
Okay.
interesting.
and they say why? Because they have status. That's like their culture.
Status. I see.
Yes,
That's quite different from
it
our
depends on culture.
Mhm.
Yes, it's quite different.
I see. Okay.
So, but yes, in Asia country, yes, eye contact is important.
It
I
is.
guess it is.
It is important. No matter what kind of culture we are in Asia.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, the first
Yes.
question is, how do you show respect without speaking? Like maybe with posture, eye contact, or gestures, or do you think foreigner will notice that?
Okay, this maybe comes in like a bit of trick. But when you are speaking with someone, how do I avoid this? Like, let's say, my opinion, maybe this is my opinion on how I like speak to someone. We don't usually speak like loudly. That's number one.
Okay.
We don't shout at people. It's like it doesn't make sense sometimes. Maybe some people doesn't like this loud noise or just very sharp tongue.
Makes sense.
Like let's say you want to comment on something.
Okay.
Like let's say someone is asking you something. Say I don't believe. Compared to I don't think this is. So which one do you think is more polite? Of course, the
see.
second option,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So sometimes the way of managing these words might be
Okay.
wrong, or maybe it might comes out rude on people's perspective.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So the last question is,
Yeah.
if someone wanted to build better communication with Chinese people, okay, what would your
Yeah.
advise them to do? Like any tips or do's and don'ts?
Okay. So your Chinese people is depending on Malaysia Chinese or China Chinese culture.
In general, are there any differences? Like
Right. Big difference.
Oh,
Very
wow.
big
big
difference.
difference. So let's say
Very big difference.
In Malaysian Chinese.
So Malaysia Chinese, okay, when you're talking to them, sometimes it's like you can mix around with language and let's say, how do I put this in words? So in Malaysian culture, yes, we do look people in eye-to-eye contact when we're speaking, but let's say you need to describe your, like sometimes your issue on it. Be straightforward. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Oh,
Just
understandable.
just speak out your mind. That is the most important thing. If you don't speak out like what problem you're having, and then they're gonna assume like, you're not doing enough, and then they're gonna scold you for absolutely ridiculous reasons.
I see. And what about in China? Like Chinese from
In China culture,
yeah.
they goes by very strict rules actually.
Rules? Oh, okay.
Very strict.
so-
Like when they want this way, you had to do it this way. Even you find an authoritative way doing it, it sometimes it's like, I don't like this way. Why didn't you do this way? So they have like a lot of question. They'll start questioning your workload, and you sometimes for me personally, because I work in like a China company, I won't say what company.
Okay.
It's a bit overwhelming.
Overwhelming.
I see.
That's true.
Yes,
It's quite strict.
because it's like how you approach the problem sometimes.
Ah.
Because the way Malaysia Chinese approach this kind of work, it's quite different.
I
Oh.
see.
For me, example, I like let's say sometimes I can see from my side. Like China, like I didn't grow up, like I said, I didn't grow up in like a very Chinese environment. So when I start doing the work and compare it like to people that raised in China Chinese, I can tell that there's a big difference of how we approach something. For me, I would take like maybe finding the most easiest way to do the thing.
I see.
But for let's say people with Chinese background, they will follow the rules strict one by one, and they will start from there. They will start making easier and easier steps. That is the big difference.
Oh, it's very strict, in China culture.
Yes.
So the
Yeah,
difference
compared
that in Malaysia is a bit less laid back than in the genre of mainland culture.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a bit more laid back compared to mainland China. Yes.
I see.
Next.
Alright then, thank you for your response. So now I will be asking you another 5-fold question regarding the topic. So the first question
Yeah.
is, have you ever faced misunderstanding due to differences in communication style? And how did you resolve them?
Oh, definitely. There's always misunderstanding when you're working.
I see.
So there's always misunderstanding. So
Okay.
of course there will be misunderstanding. That's number one. Misunderstanding it's very common. So usually it's language barrier. That's the main issue.
Yeah,
Oh.
it is.
Because on let's say some words that you are speaking, you maybe sometimes like, oh, I'm saying these words, but the way they translate the word, it might be fumble around and it might sound different on what they are doing. So let's say example, for English, like let's say, can you go there?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, sure, I go there. So but in Chinese they will say like 你可以吃那边. So in direct translation is can you go there?
Mhm.
So sometimes they don't give you a direction. So it's a bit hard to tell what they are saying, but it takes some time to get used to it.
I see.
But how do I overcome this issue? So how do I overcome this issue? So number one, ask very detailed.
Oh, it's very detailed.
Like
Okay.
ask very detailed. It might sound a bit silly, but what's the point if you don't understand the thing? So just ask a bit detailed.
That's the
Okay.
thing.
Number two, how do I put this in words? So ask a bit more detail, and maybe this is experience on how to deal with, let's say, that race of, like, let's say you're dealing with a lot of this culture of people. This is just experience.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, when you work with that person a lot of times, you will know how he wants the work to be done. So that number two is just experience.
I see that.
All right.
Yeah.
Next.
Alright, so the next question is, are there any specific gestures that are considered polite or impolite in Chinese culture? I guess we can say that it goes in a Malaysian Chinese culture.
Yeah.
Okay, so impolite, real honest, for in this perspective, I would say it's not really, like maybe the standard culture, like you don't show your middle finger or anything, that maybe it makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's say, usually it's just on how the way you speak. On like hand gesture, yes, for me I use a lot of hand gesture. But for some people they will speak like without hand gesture. But in both ways it's also the same polite way. It's usually on the tone you are speaking with, the way you react to something. It's usually that. It's not hand gesture in my opinion.
I see then. Okay, so the next question is, are there any gestures that are considered respectful in Chinese culture? And what are they? Are the same question that I have told you before in Chinese Malaysian culture?
Maybe you can say the differences between in Malay culture and Malay Chinese culture and mainland culture. Yeah.
Malay Chinese culture.
Malaysian Chinese culture.
Malaysia Chinese. So in this perspective, there are some very sensitive things that sometimes like people, number one, you don't bring pork to some people. Some people Chinese, they are Buddhist, they are vegetarians,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, there are some vegetarians, and then you bring them to like non-vegetarian place. That's like kind of disrespectful for some people, and maybe some is like, okay, I'm not sure, but some people, wherever grand opening, they will have lion dance.
Lion dance.
But some people they don't do this. They just put lion dance and no firework. If you notice. So because for some people, like some let's say how they are brought up. Like let's say from me, I from my family background, yes, they do lion dance and stuff, but they don't do fireworks.
Fireworks.
Oh.
Yeah, like firecrackers, not fireworks, but right? Firecrackers, because they said, oh, this is more to scaring away the luck, the good fortune.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we also heard that Chinese is really sensitive with the number 4, that which means death. Is that true?
Oh yes, this is true.
Oh,
I see.
You can even see at some, I think like most Chinese culture, even I think Hong Kong, Vietnam, Japan, in their leaf they don't have number 4.
yeah, that's true. They will replace it like 3A, right? I've seen it.
Yes, they replace with 3A or
Yeah.
3B, something like that.
Okay.
Oh, I see then. Okay, so another question is, can you give some example of respect cues that are similar between Chinese people communication style and that of other cultures?
Similar culture, like in like the way they speak or in the way they act or how?
Their egg.
Their act,
Mm. Maybe like bow.
Mm-hmm. Like communication
For
gesture.
bowing, bowing it depends on how the people, because bowing, the normal thing, like I think for every culture the same, is just like wishing them good morning.
I see.
Even if you see them, that is like the most common culture between like Chinese culture and the other culture. Just wish good morning.
Okay.
Like just greet them. Greetings is like a very important thing.
Okay, I
Mhm.
see. So
Yeah.
Alright then. So
Finally.
finally, the last question is: what techniques have been most effective you have used in overcoming language barriers?
For overcoming language barrier, okay, if let's say you're for this point, if let's say you're speaking on something technical, usually first way is you draw it out. You write it out or draw it out for them to. Okay, let's say you're drawing like some things when I speak to you, you won't understand. Like I say, okay, go there. Where is there?
Like which there?
Where is there? That you gotta ask that. Where is there?
Okay.
So sometimes
Oh wait.
maybe you draw like a car or maybe a tree. This tree. That sounds a bit okay. So I think number 2 is writing in numbers. It might sound like doesn't make sense. Why numbers? Because in like a working environment, number means everything to them.
I see.
Even though it's 0.2 or something, numbers is more easier to digest than putting what example, okay, this week I have increased by 0.2 compared to just like more than 0.2. I think that is more easier to digest.
It is.
I see.
Yes.
So that's it.
So that's
Yeah, so
it.
that's basically the 2 most important way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright then. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience and insight with us today, honestly. Your answer will help us better understand the cultural aspect of communication, and they'll be really helpful for our assignment later. By the way, if you have any follow-up questions later, would it be okay if one of us reach out to you?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay.
Just reach out to me.
Okay, great. Just
Depending
to
on
remind-
other culture, I don't mind. I don't mind.
Thank you.
Alright then. Okay, great. Just to remind you, your
Alright,
responses
sure.
will only be used for academic purposes, and we'll make sure to handle everything respectfully and confidentially. Alright, that's all for today. Thanks again for your time. We really enjoyed our conversation today, and hopefully you have a nice day.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This means a lot to us.
Alright, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Okay.